Hey, Elements family. It's Coach Justin here with Elements Springfield, Oregon. Today with your basic at-home gi jiu-jitsu class. Just like the rest of the week, we are going to continue with the back. And I believe I mentioned this before. The back's a slightly complicated position. And so today what we're going to talk about is we're actually going to talk about how your feet should be. Because your feet there are various ways your feet can be when you're on the back. And so we're going to kind of go over some of those today, okay? So, trying to get my second camera. So, use Bob here again. And, it may not seem like it's a big deal, but there's plenty of reasons why you want to make sure you understand how your feet are positioned in the back position, because it can depend on a lot of factors. Flexibility is one that can be really useful for some people. Size is another. If you're a bigger guy like myself, there's some of these moves that don't work on you or for you. And then just knowing what's available to you is also important, both on the top and on the bottom, because it should be, if you're taking someone's back and you make a mistake, your opponent should learn to capitalize on that. Okay, so the basic position, of course, is hooks in. So we just have our feet in here like this, and we have control of the body, head, situation like this. Okay. But some guys are really squirmy, or you want to have the ability to hold them better. So a common way that people tend to do here, which you'll learn real quick is not the correct way by any means, is to cross your feet. All right, so a lot of people do this. Right, crossing feet's real strong because you can hold your opponent real good here. Everything's connected. The problem is there is a ankle lock right here just waiting to happen. All right, and it's real simple ankle lock. What you're going to do is you're going to use the opposite side foot with whichever one's on top. All right, so if my right foot is on top, then my opponent is going to use his left foot to come over, and it's going to hyperextend this foot over this one. So it's going to kind of push it down. All right. So let me kind of show you what that looks like. Okay. So Bob will only worry about the feet in this position. So Bob's feet are here, and he decides, I'm going to wrap my feet together. So he goes like this. All right, so this foot's the one that's on top. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be in this position. I'm going to just lift this foot up like this over that foot like that. See? What happens is my foot pushes down on Bob's foot like this. And if I want to get even more leverage, I can figure four on mine and get the other side in there. So if I'm in here and Bob's foot's low enough, and I get this foot on top, and I figure four, then I can really see how twisted his foot is already. So crossing your feet can be dangerous, all right? But there are times when it's actually okay to cross your feet. So if you're up a little higher on your opponent, so if I'm a little high, my opponent like this, and I cross my feet, that's okay, because there's no way I'm going to be able to get my leg up, no matter how flexible I am, up there. Maybe I could if I could grab with my hand and get it up there, but it'd be very difficult. Or if they're slightly off, like this. So again, if I'm slightly off like this, then yeah, I can put my feet together. Or I know that that's available, that's there. So I'm just going to use it temporarily, but I've done that a few times. So you don't want to just like cross your feet willy-nilly and then just say it's okay. You actually want to make sure that if you're going to cross your feet on the back, that you know there's an attack there, and you know you're only doing it for a second to control, to like pull your opponent in, keep your opponent tight, to control everything your opponent's doing. You do not want to hold this, use this as your hold position, okay? Because of that foot lock. Now, the fun thing too is let's say you have an opponent, and you're on your back, they're being kind of loose with this. You can actually grab their foot and put it on top of their foot like this. Just put it there with your own hands. You're gonna hold it there until you get your foot up, and you can ankle lock them that way. That's legitimately worked in competition, in rolling, free rolling, and sparring and such. And I would definitely think about that as an option if your general choking defense is good, or you have a real tight neck like I do. You can get your shoulders up high, you can see it, you can still do this kind of thing and block and then attack at the foot. That's an option, right? But if you're on the back, you have to know that it's there. You have to know that if you keep your hooks too loose and you're just trying to hold with your body, it's very possible for the other person to, I'm defending with one hand, and then I reach down and grab your foot and actually put it on your other foot to cross them over, and then I throw the other leg over, and now I'm getting ankle locked. That can happen. This can also happen somewhat under a body triangle as well. Okay, so again, don't general rule is not to cross your feet, but you can under certain circumstances, and just know that if you do cross your feet, it should only be for a few seconds, so you can readjust things, especially at the top. So I might cross my feet so I can move my body away. That keeps him inside my guard, and I can readjust, then come back in, and then I uncross my feet. Or if I'm crossing my feet and then I feel them messing around with my feet, I'm gonna uncross them real super quick, right? If I don't uncross them fast enough, then I could get foot locked there. So remember, if you're gonna cross your feet, don't do it for very long. Be very aware of what you're doing. Use it only to just move from one position to the other, or to adjust yourself, and generally don't hold on to it, because if somebody holds on to it, you can do an ankle lock there, and it can really mess with their ankle ligaments and stuff if they don't tap, because you can really hyperextend. If you get that foot in there and you really go back, you can really get some hyperextension back. Okay, so while I'm here, I might as well show you this other one. So sometimes when somebody takes your back and you're defending, they haven't quite fully gotten everything in, or they're in transition, they're trying to move stuff around and everything. So what you're gonna do is real simple. You're gonna grab their feet like this. And you're gonna keep your elbows in tight like this. You're just gonna pull on their feet and push down with your elbows like this. And what's gonna happen is if you notice, if my feet are like this, right? And I put my wrist here and I try to pull this way, right? If I pull my foot toward me, right? It's not very easy. It can be very painful. It's not painful when I do it, but if I put my elbow into my shin right here, so you put your elbow in your shin and pull your feet towards you, try to twist your feet towards you. That's essentially what you're doing. So to relieve the pain, most people, when you try to do this, try to pull them up like that, will straighten out. And when you straighten out, that relieves the tension that your opponent has created. So like I said, it's real simple. If I'm sitting up here like this, and they're on my back, or they just took my back, but they didn't quite, they got the hooks in, and so I fall over and reach for this at the same time. I'm gonna keep my elbows in tight like this. I'm gonna grab the outside of their feet like so. I'm actually just gonna twist them up like this. I'm gonna push down and twist up, and they're gonna go back. And when they go back, now I can escape. I can do various escapes. I can do the spin escape I showed yesterday, where you just you kind of swim back. You swim back, turn over, keep that arm high, come into guard, or maybe I do this move and then I take a foot and I swoop down and I push off and I start to go for my over under pass. So I come here like this, right? And then I come up underneath and I come to pass that side. That loss of control from the guy on the back opens it up to lots of options for you to go for, right? So that's another real easy way to defend the or to attack the feet when you're in this position. It's amazing how many little things like that you can get from this position, but it's totally doable. Okay. So that's more of an open back. Let's talk about a closed back. So the figure 4 body lock is something that a lot of guys who are smaller than myself can get. I also have large legs, so it's difficult for me to get. But Bob's pretty thin here, so I can pretty much get the figure 4 body lock on Bob. So the figure 4 body lock, the way that works is just exactly like it sounds. My one leg goes across the body like so. Shuffle my right leg because my hip turns better on that side. And then the other one goes behind the knee. Come on, Bob, you're making it look like food. So and get my hip right. So that's better. Come on, like a fool. Okay. So you got a figure 4 body lock like this. If you can't get it all the way back to your knee on a body, you shouldn't do it. All right. The reason is because just like crossing your feet, if I don't have this pocket back here for my foot, I've basically given them a real deep ankle lock here. So, and it'd be on my bottom foot this time. So if he grabbed my foot with his leg and extended out, whoo, man, would that be painful, right? But I can move in the transition. So again, like I said, if I'm a smaller guy, which again, like I said, I'm not, and I want to do a figure 4 body lock on somebody, let's do it without Bob. I'm going to go here, across their body, and I'm going to go here behind the leg, behind the leg. You can see I don't have a lot of space here, right? But this is something that everyone needs to know because there's a real cool leg lock in here as well for people who get put in this. Because most of the time people don't know what to do. They're like, I'm stuck, I'm defending, I don't feel like I can do anything. What am I supposed to do, right? So again, it's figure 4 across the body, right? And then this top leg, if they can help it, kind of tries to go underneath the top leg. So this top leg goes underneath that top leg to try to keep the person from coming over. But if for some reason the person does come over, so like let's say they start rolling you this way, you want to switch to the other side. If they roll you the other way, switch back to the other side. So that way your foot should always be pointing to the ceiling, right? There's a reason because if I'm here, this actually can be a leg lock for me. All right. And I'll try to show you that here now because like I said, this is leg locks, leg attacks in position. Okay. So this is a very, like I said, this is a very powerful move. This is very powerful for the guy who's on my back. Because again, if he can get this, I have like zero control to make any sort of movements in this situation, right? So Bob's got me in this figure 4. See, I'm too big for Bob's really long legs. But let's just assume. Bob's got me in the figure 4, right? So he's still trying to attack me, but he's playing it loose. You know, he's like, oh, I got the figure 4 on his body, and I don't have to worry too much about his upper body. So I'm gonna try to play it loose, get him to make a mistake, and make a move. But what Bob doesn't know is that I know that there's a footlock from here. So get this high enough here. Whew. Okay. So what you do is you actually need this to be face down. You can do that 2 ways. One is if you can turn this fast enough, you get that foot down and it gets sort of trapped there, right? Or The fancier way is actually to reach up with this leg and grab it. Now, again, I reiterate, it's not a move that works on me, body lock, because how big I am. If I was a much smaller person, it would work. And it's not a move that I tend to do on people because my legs are fairly thick. And so trying to get my legs into a triangle on body lock, you saw, it's difficult on George here, or Bob, sorry, Bob. So, but even in that case, you should still know this is here, and you should still see if it's something that you can do. Because like I said, it's a very powerful position. You also got to know its limitations. All right, just like I said yesterday, any attack that you make from here, any situation you make from here, does still open you up for attacks. Okay, because there are some attacks, like I said, we can do. So Bob's got me body lock, let's just assume Bob's got me body lock like this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring this leg over this foot if I can. All right, and by putting this leg over this foot, I've locked it into place to try to keep him from switching legs. So his legs are, imagine this foot's underneath this leg. All right, so now I roll over. Boom, I've got this foot trapped. I got that leg trapped like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit forward, right? So the leverage I'm creating is on this leg here. This foot is trapped underneath this leg when I come over, right? And so the leverage I'm making is I'm actually thrusting into that leg, which is causing this to hyperextend like this. And that creates a foot attack, a leg attack. So the body lock, the body triangle, while very powerful, is not the end-all be-all of the back position. It's a very strong back position, but you have to know how to flow with it. And you have to recognize what's going on before it happens, okay? And another thing, too, is that if he's got the body lock on me like this, he's got this foot over, right? So he's got that foot over, and I can't get that foot locked, right? I can't get that foot over. If I hold this to my body, if I can just free one hand, doesn't matter if it's my left hand or my right hand, if I can hold this foot for just a second while I swing this way, then he can't shift his leg down, right? Because it requires hip rotation like this. There's a very weak movement on his part, right? So it's kind of like, if I just had one hand and I went like this on his leg, that's hard to push down into. Like if he wants to really lift this up, right, lift it up like that, that could definitely do some damage to my hip. So if I hold this, even just like this to my body while I rotate over, it's gonna be real hard for him to get this out, right? Because of the positioning of the leg, okay? And because of how tight you get it, it's probably not easy to get this foot off as it is to try to slide this foot down. So you can hold this, try to get to the other side with that foot grab and do the same move, okay? So again, you have the body lock, right? So I'll show the body lock without George. So the body lock is just a figure 4 on the body, right? And sometimes you need to lock it up so you can reach down and grab it with your hand. They're not going anywhere. You got that triangle, which you would, right? So we're over here. I'm fighting the choke. They start to roll over, slide down, switch, body lock on this side, slide down, switch, body lock on this side, right? You don't want to get caught again with your feet crossed, like I said, because if I get here, but I'm only like on part of my calf right here, you can still real hyperextend that particular the calf or the shin into the calf. I have had that happen to me before. I did try to body lock a guy who was really, really skinny, almost like he's on a bodybuilder diet all the time. So he's got 6-pack abs, really tiny waist. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try a body triangle with this guy. So I threw my leg up, tried to do a body triangle, boom. My leg didn't get all the way up. It got to like here. So it didn't get all the way to here like I wanted. Actually just got to like here, just on the calf, right? And then by doing that, I've created a place for him to exert pressure in my legs. Did it make me tap? No. But afterwards, I had the worst Charlie horse in the world because that was a lot of pressure on my calf. It doesn't normally get that much pressure. So that was super, super annoying. Okay. So the last move that I want to show you that comes off of an escape is from Professor Brooks. This is one of his fancy leg locks, and if you watch Submission Underground, he actually was attempting to do this on James Fowler, who is the current Submission Underground Absolute Champion. And so basically what he did was he said, "Hey James, take my back." So he had James take his back, right? He just let him, he shot in for a single, and he just sort of was like, I'll let him, this is what I do to set this up. So he shot in for that single, but he just didn't do it very well. And when James jumped on his back, he let him, and James started attacking for the choke. So while James is attacking for the choke, so imagine I'm, Professor Brooks, and I'm here, and he's attacking for the choke, right? He slides this leg down to get this foot flat to the mat. Okay, so now he's got this foot flat to the mat. And so what he's going to do here is he's going to try to scoot that foot out a little bit, not lift it up, just scoot it along the mat like this. Once he gets it far enough, then he can reach and grab that foot and do that similar lock that we talked about, where it was like kind of a twist like this. And the only way to deal with that specific lock is to extend back, to let go of the back and extend back. And that's exactly what Fowler did. So as Professor Brooks was going for this foot attack, James Fowler threw himself backwards a little bit to release the tension. It's the same, like I said, it's the same principle, similar principle, I should say, as this move here. So keeping this in tight, pulling his feet in, except he does it from the side, and he can do it with, and the only way to get them to tap is if they hang on. So they don't hang on, they're probably not going to tap. So you want them to hang on so they can tap. And so in this case, what you do is, like I said, so we're back here like this. He falls to the side. He's fighting. He's going to straighten this leg out to try to get that flat on the floor. And then he's going to start to kick this foot out like this. And once it's out, the foot should, like I said, Bob's legs are a little longer. So just imagine I'm here, and he's going to grab that foot. He's going to start cranking it this way, trying to rotate it in. And because he's pressing on the knee, your opponent only has one option to sort of come back, right? So I'm pretty sure he's had success with that in competition. Professor Brooks is all about the unorthodox leg locks. So there are quite a few, you can see there are quite a few potential leg attacks from the back for those people who would fight that style, okay? And for those of you following along at all with the style of the elements, all of these would be considered fire style elements because they're very aggressive. You're not in a position to, technically not in a position to win, but you still could. They're kind of dangerous, some of them, because you're still leaving your neck open for chokes and stuff. But if you get that foot over, you can get that, we started with the feet crossed attack, right? So someone crosses their feet on you, get that opposite side leg over and push down on that foot, and then hyperextends a lot of them are like this. A lot of them are twisty hyperextendy of the foot, right? So that's what they're all considered. So that first one is that leg, is if they cross their feet, your opponent crosses their feet, and they leave them there for too long, you can throw that leg up or pull that leg up or however get that leg up. For me, it's a lot easier to do when I'm kind of back here like this. So my opponent gives me just a little bit of extra space and get that foot on there, and then that'll start that up. And then I can twist it down. Remember, and on top of that, like I said, if your opponent's playing a little loose here, you can actually defend with a hand, keep from getting choked, keeping your neck down, keeping this in tight, and actually reach down, grab that foot, put it on the other one, and then go for it. You can, if you're fast enough even, you can do it in the transition of the body triangle, because the body triangle isn't super smooth, right? You don't, when you do a body triangle, you usually go across and then you hook up, right? If I start to go the other way, you don't immediately unhook and then wait for the other side to re-hook up. You kind of slide your legs in between. It's a common thing to slide your legs together. So what I mean by that is this, if I'm body triangle on this side and I start to switch to this side, I don't unhook my feet. Usually I slide them down. That right there in transition is the perfect time to shoot for that foot grab. Because once they get here, they're going to switch, and then now you can try to get on the other side. So there's options right there when your opponent is transitioning to go for that foot attack in case the over one doesn't work. Okay, so remember there's the other one where I'm here, right? And so you're going to hook your opponent's foot so it stays in place. Then you're going to roll them over so their foot goes down like this. And then when they extend, you're extending the shin up like this and hyperextending that that shin. So there's a few good attacks there. And I would say, again, you're in a competition and your opponent takes you back and your coach goes, you know, short time, like you have 30 seconds left or you have 20 seconds left, go for one of those moves, right? If you're going to lose on points, which is still a loss, then why would you not try to attempt to win by a crazy submission, right? These are crazy submissions. These are not submissions that you set up for, that you worked towards. This is a situation where your opponent has just been hyper aggressive. Maybe they're more athletic than you, maybe they're stronger than you, you know, whatever. Like, and so you're working with them, and they just run all over you. You know, they're just like super athletic, and they run all over you. And they go to your back. They think, oh, I'm going to choke this guy. I'm going to finish this strong position. This is where we practice for all the time. And I throw up a Hail Mary footlock that they didn't see coming, and boom, they lose. Right? That happens. That definitely 100% happens. And you can look that up. Look it up, like, you know, Hail Mary Jiu-Jitsu wins or whatever, and it'll show you some competitions where the opponent was just losing everything. They were losing position. They lost some points and everything. Final, you know, time comes and the guy does some crazy move to finish their opponent. Could be this leg lock. Could even be like one of the favorites is the bottom baseball bat choke, right? So sometimes you'll set up a choke like if you're in like half guard or someone goes to pass your guard, and you set up that baseball bat choke like this, and when they pass, you turn that elbow down and just drive. They don't know how to defend against it, and boom, next thing you know, they're tapping out because they're about to choke themselves, right? If you don't know how to beat it, you're gonna lose. So don't, you know what's there. It's always about knowing what's there. So those are the unorthodox moves there, and most of them, like I said, just require a bit of awareness. So if you're being put into that move, you just need to be aware that it's going on or that's going to happen. You also need to know extending back a lot of times is a really strong way to alleviate the pressures that could come from some of these leg attacks. Okay. So I got time for a, let's see, is there any other submissions from there? Transitions, yes. Just trying to think of other basic, because we went over the chokes yesterday. We went over, I want to go over transitions tomorrow because that's definitely something that's important. So I don't want to say that for tomorrow. I think I've covered a lot of the basic stuff. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. So so I'll show you one more thing having to do with back mount, because this can work real well for you smaller guys. Okay, a lot of this back mount stuff works for smaller guys. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to take your back. Like I'm going to use your whatever. If you're trying to give me your back for some reason, I'm going to use that to pull you away that I want to using some leverage. But I, big guy, not a good idea to take your back. There is one instance, and I will show you that too, in which I would do that. But it's a little bit more of an intermediate advanced move. So I'll show you it, but just you know that it's there. And if you want to play around with it, after the fact, that's completely up to you. So when you are flexible enough and small enough to really be able to get your knees to your chest, that's going to be one of those instances where this works real well for you. You are actually going to use this instead of the hooks. Okay, this is way stronger because it controls better. So if I'm here, right, and I'm attacking, I got my hook in. It's a lot stronger for me to control this if I put my foot on the hip like this. All right. So if I've got good chest to back position as a bigger guy, right, it's going to be a little hard for me to put my foot here and squeeze, but it's doable. This is a real strong position. If I can keep this foot sort of monkeyed, so I've kind of monkeyed this foot a little bit like this and pushed on the inside of this hip, this can really be strong for control, as well as the outside hook like this. If I can keep this up. So what a lot of guys will do is if they don't like the position, they'll drive themselves, they'll use their feet and press back and drive themselves over, right? So to stop that from happening, you put your butterfly hook in and you lift up the leg, and that keeps them from, or you lift into the leg, keep them from turning this direction. You can also do that here by pushing into the hip. So if you push into the hip with your foot, keeping this tight, then that can also work to hold your opponent down. Now, if I've got my choking arm correct, so I'm on this side instead, right, and I'm here, it's real easy for me to control this wrist, and then when I get this wrist down, sorry, his wiring is a little stiff, get this wrist down, I can actually bring this arm over and sort of backpack on top of his arm like this. Now he doesn't have this arm to defend with, so choking him is going to be real easy, right? But this monkey foot position right here is real strong. This bottom hook is in, this monkey position is here, right? If they try to turn into you, you can switch that hook until they stop, and then right back to that monkey foot. Is really pushing on that hip. And if they straighten that leg out, if you have your monkey foot correctly, when you're here, it's okay. But you're not actually pushing down on the hip. This way, you're pushing down on the hip into the mat. So that keeps them from going that way. Okay? So this comes from, I'm here, I'm holding, count to 3, I get my points, right? And then immediately switch to the monkey hip, like that, right? This controls that top leg quite a bit. And if I do it right, that foot should stay on there no matter what. And then if they try to move over, it's real easy for me to switch to this, flip it back, right back to that monkey hip, and pin like that. Then I can use his hand, push it down, come inside, replace, just go over the body like that, and then start choking. See how high up my leg is? His arm's in there like this. He's in a bad day, right? It's a real bad day. And if I'm holding him real good, I can actually even like bring this leg behind my back and backpack that arm inside. And if I had a real person, I might be able to show you what I'm talking about because his arms are stubby and everything. But just know that this is another option. All right, the foot on the hip, and you can still try to get this foot down, but if that foot's on the hip real good, then I can sort of bring this up, and you see how it's off to the side, like we talked about. Can't cross, I'm not crossing the feet here. If I was here, I'd be crossing the feet, right? But if I'm here, I'm not quite crossing my feet, and I'm out of position for that foot lock. But I'm still real strong up here, okay? Now, how I would attack as a larger fellow is slightly different. I would actually use a hip out scenario so I can control the bottom leg without the hooks in. All right. This is a position called a lockdown. And the way it works is this bottom foot comes underneath, and this top one figure fours, and then comes behind this foot. Come on, foot. Okay, there we go. Let's do it that way. So this is a figure four, right? And I got this foot trapped with this one. All right, so I'll show you one more time. This is my hooking foot. So I'm hooking the back again. So here's the back position, right? I'm hooked in. So what I need is his hip to be slightly over this leg. Otherwise I can't do this. So his hip needs to be here. And once his hip's a little higher, then I can go for my lockdown. All right, just like this. And it's really cool because I recently learned that with this lockdown, I can actually choke with the arm inside because I'm extending the hips to help create the pressure that I need. All right, so there is a choke from here that I don't need this hand on the lapel. I don't need it over to finish the choke. I just need this foot inside and this arm inside. So I'm just gonna wrap this up like I would rear naked choke, right? And then grab that wrist and then extend. And as I extend, their body extends into the choke, right? That's all that's happening there. I'm not trying to choke them with my shoulder or my elbows, my back, like I would normally. What I'm trying to do is, so I'm going to control this wrist, get this hand here, and then grab my own, and actually extend my hips and pull up. And that's going to cause the choke. It's because I have control of this leg through my hips, like this. I'm controlling their hips through my hips, like this. Okay? And that's going to be the choke there. So as a larger fellow, that's going to be my what I would want to do. And there are ways to set this up, and I might show one of those ways when we do turtle position next week. I kind of feel like I should have done turtle position this week, just because that sets up for back stuff. But I decided to go this way. So, but yeah, so never mind the dryer. So yeah, so the turtle, so the back again. There's going to be ways to set it up. If I'm on somebody's back, though, it's a little trickier because I kind of have to get in here with my choking arm, get to that choke part, and then I kind of have to almost lift the person down to get the hip over, and then once the hip's over, then I can slide that foot in and go for that. When I'm on the hips up high and correct, it doesn't work. See, if I try to go for this, my foot's out of place. See how this foot here, I can't quite get that. I could try and get something like it, but it's not going to work because I'm not under their hips. So I need their hips in front of me instead of below. So right now, the hips are below, right? If I do a little scooting, now the hips are above, and when I extend out, you can see I'm extending into the hips instead of away. So that's a bit more, like I said, of a specialty advanced move, and it's there for everybody, but it's not going to be everybody's first choice, especially when you're already might be good at choking without it. So as a bigger fellow, that's something I like. If you're if you're bigger and have some body constraint issues, that's a good move for you as well. So, all right, everybody, that's it for me today. I hope you all had learned something. And as always, if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day, and I will be back at you tomorrow. Bye.